closed.
Okay then.
And I got a charter from Garvey movement.
Right.
At the time, this is 1946 now.
Mm-hmm.
So 1944, the closing of the 44, 1945, I decided to start. So by 1946, the war closed.
Right.
1945. In 1946, I got a charter from Garvey movement. And I had more than 5,000
yeah.
persons
Okay.
in our organization.
Right.
At the time when I got the charter, I went, Patrick Solomon, we had just got adult suffrage in Trinidad, was a member of parliament, a member of our race. I went to him to come to unveil the charter. And he thought I came for medical at his office. So when he heard what I came for, he said he had nothing to do with Negro African affair. Get out of his office. Push me out of his office. I said the day would come that you are going to champion African cause more than I do.
Right.
And I left. I feel humiliated after, but we had one Chanka Maraj, an East Indian, who was also a member of the council. Something told me, go and ask Chanka. I said, how are you going to take an Indian to unveil an African charter? But I went, and Chanka decided to come. On the 16th of October, 1946, we unveiled the charter, bus and train from all parts. We had 6,000 person march.
Let me ask you a question. Was Garvey alive at that particular time?
No, Garvey died on the 10th of June, 1940.
1940.
In Belmont Crescent in London.
Okay then.
The same day, Italy declared war against Britain, and Britain decided to get Italy out of Ethiopia.
Okay then. Question I'm going to ask you now. How much of an impact did Garvey have on in Trinidad as a whole? I mean,
well, as you know, Garvey had impact on the whole black in the United States and all Caribbean islands. As you know, Garvey was a Jamaican.
Yes, that's right.
And in Trinidad you had, but under Garvey time, it was mostly the intellectual or the middle class and upper class who were the executive of Garvey. But at this time, it was child, or because I was still a child, I was in my teen, and the poor class. So those who were with Garvey movement, the intellectual lawyers and so on, when they see my success, envy starts. But we pulled through. And from there, I brought person from Nigeria who had claimed Ethiopian Coptic bishop, because when it started, these professional men start to fight against Iron Modest, who started off, that we are small fry, and to lead such a big movement, and they write in complaint. So they in the United States, Benjamin was the chairman of Garvey movement, and told us to come up to London, write these letters. So we said we just start and we have money and so on. So they send down a representative, Dr. Petioni, niece, Adele Petioni. Dr. Petioni from the Penny Bank in Trinidad. And he went up and his niece went up, and she was the organizing secretary. And she never returned to Trinidad, so she took the opportunity to come. And when she came with 100 letters of charges against, and she took Connors and wooden QC to sit it on. They read the letters and all was petty.
Because from my research or history of what I've been told that, I mean those times there in Jamaica, there wasn't really any
Garvey movement. It went down after Garvey left Jamaica, and he came up to London to reorganize from here, as he was doing in the United States. But the war came on in 1939, declared war. And they arrest Garvey, as I learned, for security risks, and they put him in prison. And he died on the 10th of June, 1940.
Okay, I just want to bring it back around, the other thing about religion. Because in fact, I think...
Yes, before you bring me, I know there you're coming to, before you even speak.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, when after Ms. Petioni come, and she said, dismantle our executive because these men want office. The membership said no. I said, yes, because they came and they want office, but they did not organize anything.
Right.
So you, the membership, is the one to put them. They say, well, all right, we're going to have election in our president. We're not going to. I say, no, give all of these professional men second and third assistant secretary and so on. So did, and they resigned. But Ms. Petioni said we have a greater program than they in the United States, and she as a Trinidadian, she would go back and raise money to help us.
Help you back in Trinidad.
In Trinidad.
Okay.
By virtue of that, they wrote letter against her death, and when she got back to the state, they expelled her.
Okay then.
And with the expulsion of her, she then, they wrote me telling me I must give them a detail. I said, you said you are sending a lady to us. We found her as a lady, we treat her as a lady. Now you want me to report on a lady.
Okay then.
So she gave us an address of a fellow in Nigeria, Davidson Quartiata, who claimed to be a Ethiopian Coptic priest. So I wrote him, he said yes, he would come, pay his passage and give him a deposit of 200 pounds. I said, we pay passage, but he can't. These men get his address, they wrote him.
Right.
Well, we sent his passage money to Nigeria.
Right.
And he took it, he came to London. Because they told him they can't send money to Nigeria. But if he come to London, they are going to put the 200 pounds. But they know that we sent his passage already. So he took it and he came to London, waiting for the 200 pounds. He took the remaining portion of the money and he go to Oxford. In those days, at Oxford, you could get a backdoor degree, so you get a DD.
A backdoor.
Anyway, in short, by virtue of such, when he came from my research in the Bible and history, I saw he was not really Orthodox. I know more of the Orthodox Church than him. So then I tried to seek a way out.
Right.
One Abba Gabriel Jesus Hailu was at the United Nations pleading for Eritrea union with Ethiopia, and our newspaper carried it. And his address was Asmara, Eritrea. I wrote a letter to him, Asmara, Eritrea. I got a letter replied from Rome, stating that he's in Rome translating from Greece to Latin on behalf of the Vatican, but he's there on a special mission for His Majesty. So I must write His Majesty, asking him if he could release him to come. I wrote His Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie. I did not get a reply, but Hailu claimed His Majesty tell him that he can come, but we'd have to pay his passage.
Okay.
So I raised passage and brought Hailu from Rome to Trinidad early 1952. And he came, I had already organized in Trinidad and Tobago Ethiopian Coptic. And I had already went to British and Dutch Ghana and had organized there. So when he came, he viewed Trinidad, he go to Dutch Ghana and British Ghana. And he returned to Trinidad, he left by plane for New York. We left by ship. And he came at the pier in New York and Manhattan and received us. He took us to Washington at Dr. Ras Imru, the Ethiopian ambassador to Washington. They kept a lavish welcome for us, but he could not have granted us because visa from New York, because we are British. So he gave me letters to the Ethiopian embassy in London and Paris. So we sailed from New York to London and Paris. We got the visa here, and from London.
Was the first time you come to London that time then?
Yes, this is 1952, around March, April month. So then we took train from Southampton across to the Dover, to Paris, and took train from Paris to Marseille. We took ship from Marseille to Egypt, ship from Egypt, go through the Suez Canal to Djibouti. We took train from Djibouti to Addis. But Hailu that came, he had notified the emperor and that we are coming.